Check, 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 check.
That's good. Right.
Check, 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 check.
What's going on with audio?
Just trying to.
So these two. Okay, I know, but we can't mute back here and still have sound out there.
Yeah, because can't you just turn this?
I mean, we haven't been talking until the semifinals. We're a long way away from that.
You guys are ways away.
So we can just turn it up and just not be in here, so at least there's audio on the feed.
Okay, we could definitely do that. How the hell look? Get me out of here.
Oh, we're just down here.
Okay,
All those
like,
down
what's
there.
that page?
Yeah.
Like-
You want the scoring one, that's the...
Well, there's a new scoring system, but yeah, you want to do the scoring down here tonight.
Right, which you have to be in here for.
I flip-flop it. No, we talked about
Yeah,
that.
but
So you can do it this way now, where you hit the all the way up, but then I turn these down. just the bottom of the screen with the bottom of the table is what we're going for. Look, hey, an easy way to do it, look in the mirror while you're looking at the back of the phone.
Like, it's better for you to just stand up there and look at it straight on.
Oh, you're tall enough. Yeah, that's great.
I'm not good backwards like that.
Okay.
So you want to try to re-flush it to the table? I thought that the idea.
I just
was
want
that
the table centered. It's just the table's doing this number.
Yeah, I get that, but I thought the idea was to have space for the logos.
Yeah.
You can see all
You
the
can leave,
actual-
no, just make sure that this is lined up with the bottom. See how the bottom's
You
like.
got
Well,
one muted, right? So none of our listeners are having to hear the same.
no, everybody hears
Yeah,
this.
it's good. We'll be careful about this. All right, I'll try to.
Yeah. Probably two. It's just turned a little bit. You see how the table's like that?
It looks way better than it did before, though.
Oh,
He's fixing it. It's okay.
it's like Star Trek.
It is.
Also, you can throw up the brackets on the screen. Check it out.
If you want, we can go to that and just show the brackets or the live feed.
And how do I update that?
Oh, right here on the computer. Just refresh. It's in real time.
Okay.
Whatever you want to put on the computer can be put on the screen.
Okay.
Actually,
Again.
Jacob,
These are all.
Peter, have you been called?
Yeah, I gotta go play.
Go play. I don't want to pay to play.
I make this smaller? Is it shifting? So is it the table that's already moved 8 inches to the right? Is that what he's telling me?
Check. Check test. Check test. Check. There we go. Check. Check. Check test. Check. Check test. Check. Check test. Check. Something's too loud. Check. Check test. Check. Check test. Check. That's better. Check, check test. Check. So, that. This is the Jay. I want to show you both. Okay. So this is the receiver.
they're trying to work down to. Yeah, they're trying to work down to here. Whoever won that game.
We're hard.
Try and get the mic. They're still not even in the center shot. Or it's like big. What? Like if you teach them now, then they won't be upset in the top four. I'm gonna go ahead and help them out. And if you want to check the mic on the headphones, how does it sound? Check test, check test, check. Nothing? Check test. Nothing's coming through, check test. Your headphones are here. 4. Was it just check? Can you hear it now? Was it? Oh, headphones. Check test, check test, check test. You can hear it now. Okay. Looks like I'm reffing, so okay, I'll call it. Try not too much commentary. Got it.
All right, kids, we are back, and as always, I am joined by my good friend Charles Ray. My name is Jay Lippincott. We are joining what I believe is an elimination bracket semifinal between my wonderful sister-in-law, Georgia Lippincott, and the legend Phil Arnold. The winner of this match will be moving on to face Brian Acroco in the elimination bracket semis. I apologize, this is the elimination bracket quarterfinal. While the loser, this will be their second loss of the evening, and their weekend will be getting started. A little bit later start out of the elimination bracket this weekend, as we did have a large turnout of 20 plus, biggest turnout we've had since well before Christmas, so things running a little bit late tonight. As always, a shout out to our sponsors at where'sthegig.com, the I-45 Bingo Hall, and Old Humble Distilling Company. All two of those local companies here in the Houston area, the I-45 Bingo Hall with live games and a guaranteed $10,000 in cash and prizes going on right now. That game is getting started here in about 15 minutes at 11:30. So grab your mobile device, head on up to the I-45 Bingo Hall located at the corner of FM 1960 and I-45 in the Houston, Texas area. And a shout out to Old Humble Distillery, who was supposed to join us with a bottle of the reserve to talk about, but unfortunately our friend at Old Humble had some prior commitments and was unable to make it. Hopefully we can catch up with him next week. And Charles, we've been talking about it. It sounds like next Friday is going to be the day of our big announcement.
All right, it sounds like it's pretty imminent here. We're super excited, of course. During the introduction there, you just witnessed Phil winning the first game of this the quarterfinal match here against Georgia Lippincott.
Other exciting news, we have some new technology installed. Unfortunately, tonight is going to be a single set camera. We're having some technical issues with our other ones. But we are going to be able to bring you a live microphone feed from our officials at the final table from here on out. Georgia Lippincott with a beautiful right wall under, but it's answered. But Phil Arnold answers with one of his own. And I do believe that's going to get us to 2-2 is what I'm seeing from our official. For those of you who would like to follow along, we are going to do our best to keep the brackets updated. When we get another stop in action, I will give you a quick look at the updated brackets. Right now, Charlie Martin is awaiting a winner out of our elimination bracket. Charlie Martin with an undefeated run to the championship table tonight. Congratulations to Charlie.
I'm hoping to get a little more audio in here from our referee so we can hear a little more action directly at the table here.
It helps if I give his microphone some volume as well.
There it is.
That's what I'm
there
looking
you go.
for.
You found him.
No, I found the...
And now the whole audience is up on the score with us. The score is 4-3.
And that's going to be a 4-3 advantage for Mr. Phil Arnold. So we should be able to follow along a lot better with the action as it unfolds live here on Friday night at the 7-6. For those of you who haven't been out, the 7-6 Air Hockey Club is located at 2808 Milam here in the Midtown area of Houston, Texas. Beautiful club, 5 tables in-house with a 6th on the way, just looking to clear up some floor space for a second featured table. Lots of exciting things happening, but again, nothing bigger than the announcement. Hopefully, we will be released to make to the public next Friday.
Phil is looking like he's trying to accomplish something here tonight. He's been really determined. If you've been following along throughout the evening through the early broadcast, you've seen a little different side of Phil. He's been a little bit more, it seems like it's a little more pep in his step tonight.
Yeah, a lot more focused. I know he's been disappointed with his results here at the 7-6 over the last few weeks. He hasn't had a really deep run, and we have to go back till before the beginning of summer to find a weekly championship. or to find the last weekly championship on Phil Arnold's resume. Obviously, Phil Arnold has a lot to do with the day-to-day operations in air hockey. Doesn't get nearly the time to practice, I'm sure, that he would like. Again, nobody making a career out of air hockey yet. We are growing every week. For our regular viewers, you know that. We have definitely seen growth in the turnouts over the last 18 months or so since I've started covering these events for them. Got a good one unfolding here. Phil Arnold 1 point away from victory, but Georgia not allowing him to close that door just yet. She's trying to make a run from behind, get back into this, but if Arnold scores here, her night's going to be over.
Well, you see Phil is still doing very Phil things. He's still trying many different things and scoring on many different things.
Phil loves the gamesmanship of air hockey, loves to put some deeks to work, and it must have been Georgia who won the first game because we are switching sides and doing it again.
Yes, we are indeed.
So we are going to have a rubber match here in our elimination bracket quarters. Again, Brian Akroka waiting in the semifinals for a winner here, and Jacob Munoz is through to the elimination bracket final. We are still 2 matches, this match and one more match away from that. So the winner of this will face Brian for the opportunity to face off with Jacob, and then a shot at the championship table with Charlie.
Now we're all up to speed.
Yeah. It's been a long tournament tonight. You and I have had a couple hours to sit around, talk strategy, things about, normally I'd be home. I'd have been home watching Netflix about 45 minutes ago with the turnouts we've
With
had.
the whole chill, too, I bet, right?
With our new format of only trying to cover the last 4 or 5 matches, we had a long wait tonight, and with the adult playground next door,
Yes.
this could this broadcast could go Brockmire again awful quickly.
Unfortunately for us, we were hanging in here, and as he said, we were hanging out and getting to chat with some of the other players, get to pick a little brain, get to hear a little strategy. It's always very interesting to sit around with people and their passions because you learn things that you never thought of or considered previously. We're going to try to get you updated on the score here. Let's see if we can get a little more sound from the table.
There we go.
We'll let the referee give us a good score here in a minute.
I believe it looks like it's 3-1 in Georgia's favor right now. But we do have the official's microphone on, so we should get an update at the next score. Stand corrected. It looks like it's 4-1 Georgia. I know she does get a small head start in each of these matches. I believe it might be 3 or 4 against Phil. So if she has yet to score, that's going to be her head start. Phil Arnold cutting the deficit in half, now trailing Georgia 4-2, but Georgia with a quick answer off that right rail. And Phil Arnold gonna need to find some offense here in a hurry.
Yeah, but Phil, I think, has just kind of been, well,
just
until
like that,
moment,
Phil
I thought
Arnold.
that he was just kind of laying in the cut, but apparently Phil is struggling.
Yeah, Phil is.
Oh, and he sneaks one by though.
It's like Phil's had a little lapse in focus on the defensive side of the table, and I know Georgia does get a head start, but Phil able to catch up and win that last match.
Maybe he ran through that pep.
Wins match number 2.
He might have run through that pep. Endurance is one of those things that you really got to give some credence to.
Well, Georgia looking to close it down right here, trying to be selective with her shots, not trying to get too wild, and there it is. Just like a surgeon, just steady-handed off that right rail. Caught Phil Arnold leaning out towards the middle, and he didn't even stand a chance. Entertaining match to start our evening. Georgia Lippincott is going to move on, and she will face off against Brian Akroka in the elimination bracket semifinals. The winner of that to move on to face Jacob Munoz in the 3rd place game, while the loser will be what is known in the poker world as the Bubble Boy. The loser of our next match will be the last one out without making any of the money. Like I
And
said,
everybody knows that's no fun.
everybody knows that's no fun.
That's right.
I don't see any new players in the lineup tonight, so we should have a full prize pool at, I think it was 22 players he told us. So our players competing for, $110. Always nice when there's a Benjamin in the equation. So we have got AC Rocco facing off against Mrs. Lippincott. And it would also appear with the way our brackets have played out tonight, we are going to have a new family at the championship table this evening. Over the last 6 to 7 weeks, it has been a run for the Marino family and the Weissman family at the final tables, as well as the Gibsons. Tonight, looks like we're going to have a new one. I know Brian and Jacob, both very capable of getting it done. I'm not really familiar with Charlie Martin. I haven't gotten to see him play much, but he is sitting there at the championship table. But tonight, it's going to be a Martin and a Croco, a Lippincott, or a Munoz will walk away with our championship. We are down to our final 4 competitors. Charlie Martin at the championship table, sitting there undefeated, waiting for some competition. We have 2 matches left to play out to decide who that's going to be. While we've got a minute, I will give you a quick rundown on the rules. I know we've been streaming all night, but our broadcast team, we do not come on until the last 4 or 5 matches. So the way the 7-6 Weekly plays out, this is a double elimination handicap format based on the level of play, which is decided by a jury of your peers. You are set a level either 1 through 7. If you are a level 1 player playing against a level 6 player, you will get a 5-point head start, 5 per game. 5 points is the max head start allotted to any player. If you have a level 4 player against a level 3, the level 3 player gets a 1-point head start, and so on and so forth. Each match consists of a 3-game format. Each game is a run to 7 points. Each is a best 2 out of 3 format. I apologize. First player to win 2 games wins the match. As we said earlier, this is a double elimination. We only have 1 player left without a loss. 2 losses and you are out. Looks like things are about to ramp up here between Brian and Georgia. Georgia should be getting her full 4. I believe she gets a full either 4 or 5 points. I think it's probably just 4. 4 or 3. Georgia, a former women's champion. She has won weeklies earlier in the year. Married to my brother Pete Lippincott. He has been ranked high. He's been ranked top 5 in the world in the past. Took a stab at the number 1 last year, Mr. Cummings, in a challenge match, and like to say he had a stronger showing than he did, but unfortunately he lost that 18 game challenge match 17-1.
Wow. That's strong.
Apparently there are some leveling issues with the table. So we are going to cut away, go to a commercial for just a minute, folks. We will be right back.
My name is Brian Acrocco. I'm the president and CEO of United Air Hockey Promotions. I have been running air hockey tournaments for about 15 years now, and I manage them here at SMU Houston. Most new players, when they step up for the first time, they're quite surprised at the quality of skill that we have at the sport. Most people out there have not seen professional air hockey don't realize how advanced it actually is.
All right, kids, we are back. This is the elimination bracket semifinal. Brian Acrocco facing off against Miss Georgia Lippincott. We will give you an updated handicap as soon as we can. As we were telling you earlier, we're going to have some live volume from right at the table. So Georgia is going to be getting a 2-point head start.
No, it was 3.
Oh, 3-point head start. Sorry. In each of these matches as Brian opens the natural scoring. Nice shot down the right side by him to do so. Georgia was a sniper off that right rail against Phil in the last match. That not so much sniping as sloppy defense by Brian. Unable to shut down that attempt and get it under control. Brian off to a good start, cutting the lead in half now at 4-2. Georgia really playing heavy off that right rail, and I think Acrocco has figured it out, and he's starting to shut her down. He's tried to change it up on the left side that time.
I like all these different grips. Yeah. You know, you see a lot of players with these different grips, and it's very interesting how their style matches their grip.
Nice forehand from Brian, but misses wide left. Tried to get sneaky, and he was able to do it. Georgia was leaning to the wrong side of the table, but Brian missed badly left. And then the air hockey equivalent of an air ball from Brian's side of the table is going to turn the possession back over to Georgia. Doesn't last long. Pucks are flying now.
Georgia got that one by.
Great shot by Lippincott.
Yes, he did.
Just straightforward, right down the middle, take the rail out of the equation, and scores. Good. Good idea from Georgia, but it's going to cost her. She's unable to control the rebound. And
Brian with a nice shot there.
Brian comes hard off the right rail to knot us up at 5 points apiece. He has made up the stagger and run the Lippincott down.
Now it's a race to set. It's race to 2 points.
There it is. Brian takes the lead, and he is just a nose away from the finish line here in game number 1. Georgia getting a 3-point head start, but Brian making that disappear at 5, and now ahead by 1 and looking at game point.
Until it was tied.
Until Georgia forces sudden death. She goes back to the right rail and finds some success there again to a next point win situation, and we will switch sides and do it again. This only game number 1 in this best of 3 match.
Be interesting to see if this game mirrors the Rockets game earlier tonight, where the Rockets found themselves down early and came back to win it late.
Yeah, didn't see the Rockets. Talked earlier about what I was watching with my son. I think we'll keep that off the air, though.
Oh, and yes, life imitates art.
As Brian
comes storming back from the early deficit to take the first game 7-6.
Man, finished Georgia off with a beautiful forehand. Came all the way across the table, played it low off the left rail, and it snuck right behind the defense of Lippincott. Good shot from Brian to end the round.
Yes, and it is now 3-1. Brian already getting on with the natural and scoring again just like that.
And the head start is evaporating even quicker this time. I think Brian has found a weakness off the left side, because that's almost exclusively where his points came from in game number 1.
It's like you said, you catch your opponent leaning one side and you score on the other side.
Georgia with a good idea, but unable to get any power behind that shot.
Oh, it's getting a little adult out there at the table, it sounds like. There, losing the puck off the table there. We'll have to try to keep a cap on that. Georgia now in control of the puck. Look at Brian dancing around that puck like a cat's paw, tying the game at 3. Lead gone. Georgia's going to have to dig in deep here if she wants to get this victory in this game. A sanding call from the referee, a little unusual. Don't see that too often.
Think Phil knows he's mic'd up? Miking our officials for
And
the first time
Georgia.
this evening at the main table. Georgia with a beautiful one right down the middle. Brian unable to shut her down. Brian working the drift work hard on Lippincott here.
He gave it right back to her too, right? Gave it right back.
Brian really playing with some focus tonight. He really wants this one. I know he's been upset with his with the early exits he's had over the last couple of weeks, and it has been to handicap players who were getting big head starts on him. But
It's hard to overcome that hill sometimes.
Brian is one of the best players in the world, and he has hosted these events at the now defunct Brian's Garage. But how's the old saying go? Even a blind squirrel finds an acorn every once in a while. And unfortunately, Brian has been on the receiving end of all those blind squirrels for the past couple of weeks. So I know he hasn't been really happy with his performances. But trying to turn it around tonight, and 1 point away, and there it is. That is going to do it. Brian is going to move on to face Jacob Munoz in our elimination bracket final, while Charlie Martin awaits the winner of that at our championship table. We are only 2 matches away from deciding a 7-6 weekly champion, folks. Make sure you stay tuned. We will be right back.
I'm thinking about this woman in Colorado that I really like. You know, I'm thinking about explaining to her first that to me, you're like an air hockey table.
I like fighting to the death on the table, you know, like a gladiator.
This guy hit that throat.
I fell in love with air hockey in June of 1973. I picked up the mallet, no glove, didn't know anything about it, won 18 games in a row. There was so much energy going through my body of air hockey greatness that my arm just, it was too much. These people are more intense than that.
What do you think, honey, of the air hockey crowd?
I won't say anything.
There's a lot of individuals in air hockey. They have unique interests, and they're not a real mainstream. Men, traditionally competitive, typically not in relationships with women, kind of loners, kind of in love with the table and maybe married to the table, I don't know.
I used to play air hockey every day.
Okay,
And Eddie's denying his point, so very nice.
As you guys just heard, Jacob Munoz denying his 1 point. He's been doing that more and more lately with some success. Munoz, multiple weekly championships in 2019. This our first tournament of 2020, so our statistical history resets for the year.
Yes, everything is all brand new.
Yep. New statistics for all of our interns to research.
Right? Get our stat boy on that. Make sure that we get that together.
Jacob Munoz trailing 2-3 to Brian Akoko right now trailing 4-2. Brian finding some success off the right whale on Munoz. Both of these players play extremely fast. I don't want to say wild because there is a method to their madness. Brian again going back to the drift work.
And it is quickly 5-3 for Brian Akoko.
It's even worse.
I missed 2 points there. All of a sudden it's 4-5.
And we are all tied at 5
like
apiece.
Uh-oh.
And Brian, the first one to get, and now the race to 6 is tied, and we are at sudden death here in game number 1. Akoko and Munoz giving us our money's worth here in game number 1. Jacob Munoz denying his point and playing a great even money match here against Brian.
Action has been fast and furious until that time out there. Quick break in the action. And right back at it, just like that. Brian Akroko takes game 1.
Winning 7-6 over Jacob Munoz. We are going to switch sides and do it again.
Looks like we're just waiting on a reset here. Each side taking a little bit of a break here to cool down from that hot first game there. Young Jacob Munoz standing at the ready.
Yes.
That's that benefit of youth, right?
Yeah, Jacob was 2019's most improved player at the World Championship, as well as 2019's under-25 champion in a tournament held right here at the 7-6 just a few weeks ago. A run through the children in our league, if you will. But Jacob, a very, very strong young player. Definitely the strongest in the under-25 group with the trophy to prove it now. Jacob scoring on that point, but the point disallowed because he was unable to control his mallet. Doesn't matter.
Get that one.
Jacob with a beautiful shot off the right side, but Brian with an answer, and we are knotted at 2 points apiece. Our official for this match is Georgia Lippincott with a very respectable 4th place finish tonight. Jacob trying to put some breathing room between himself and Brian Akroko, but Brian not letting him get away.
Not at all. And this is looking very much like the first match where it's going to be a pure race to 7. Who's going to get there first?
Yeah, this is not a race between the tortoise and the hare. This is definitely the race between 2 hares. Neither of these players look like they believe slow and steady is going to do it.
You know, and I think if anything, if this is a scant preview of the final, then we're in for an exciting finish here tonight at the 7-6.
Yeah, again, as I was saying earlier, I'm not familiar with Charlie Martin. I know I've seen him play once or twice this year. Didn't see him make many deep runs, but very familiar with Brian and Jacob, and he's definitely 2 of the most talented players in the AH360 world right now. Things going back and forth quickly, neither able to really seize an advantage.
Yeah, little young Jacob there fumbled away the puck there. He was a little upset with himself, you could tell. And he pays for it on the other end.
I tried to do the air hockey equivalent of a round of sparring with Jacob Munoz a couple weeks ago, and standing on the other side of the table helping him warm up for a semifinal. The kid was toying with me and was just embarrassing me, and I decided right then and there I just didn't want to play with him anymore. Not that I am any kind of air hockey professional, but being embarrassed by somebody half my age at anything.
And yet them's the breaks, right?
As my John Madden football career ended when my youngest child was able to beat me legitimately, that pretty much was when I retired the PS4 controller.
No more Madden?
No more Madden for me, and as they are their father's children, both of them have, at one time or another, have come up with gems like, Dad, you can practice this when we're not here. And, Dad, you used to be good at this. And my children have moved on from the John Madden football and their, Call of Duty and all the shoot-'em-up games like everyone else. And I was never into those. And playing those games with teenagers when you've never played before is really not an enjoyable experience at all.
Yeah, that's not really my cup of tea either. I can't. My brother, though. My brother likes them. I just, that's not me.
I was educated on the word respawn in the world of Call of Duty.
Oh.
And apparently, when you played Call of Duty long enough, there's some sort of pattern as to where, after you die, you will reappear somewhere else on the board.
Yes.
Well, when you have played for long enough, you kind of pick up the pattern, and when I play against my children, I generally get to take 2 steps every time I come back to life and I'm dead again, and it's just no fun to play.
They know where you are, Dad.
That's right. That's right. And then you get in one of those online rooms with 50 teenagers who are all just like your children.
And all of a sudden you're okay, Boomer.
Well, you know, and it was fine, and I am not a boomer. I am a proud, angry, never killed myself Generation Xer. That is correct. But you do start feeling your age when you know your video game skills haven't depleted. It's just that the next generation is so much better than you.
Yeah.
But in my defense, the first video game I ever played was Pong, for crying out loud.
Hey, don't worry, my friend. I think the first game I ever played was the original Pac-Man.
That's an incredible game.
Yes.
Again, a game with a pattern, and I still have the Pac-Man pattern memorized, to quote Tim McGraw. Well, here we go with game number 2, folks. And again, as a reminder, Jacob Munoz has denied his head start here against Brian Akoko. Each player with a victory here. So game number 3 is going to decide our second competitor at the final table. Winner of this game to move on to face Charlie Martin in the finals. Loser of this match, their weekend will start, but they will start with a little bit of cash in their pocket as they will walk away with third place money.
Well, you know, a little bread is nice.
A little bread's nice. It's enough to go buy yourself, you know, an adult beverage next door. Nice shot by Jacob to open the scoring. I'm sorry, his second point here in game number 3.
Yes, we were kind of waxing poetic about adult beverages and missed that opener there.
Missed the opener somewhere.
I know one thing I never fail to open is a nice frothy beverage.
Well, and you know, it's so sad that our friends from Old Humble couldn't have been here tonight. I enjoy their product so much more than barley sodas. But hopefully we'll see our friends from there soon. Their new distillery opening up, I believe, in the next week or two. And they're
moving into the new digs.
Yeah, the Old Humble Reserve. I forget what it's called. I don't remember. I know it's not Rumble. That's another company that I won't talk about because they're not paying us. But was really looking forward to trying the new stuff because the Old Humble Distilling house bourbon is beautiful. Good stuff. Lots of spice to it. Completely, I believe he said it's only made from wheat and barley, no rye.
Super smooth. Goes down so easy.
Even good when you mix it with Coke or ginger ale as well. But as the whiskey man I am, I really only like to mix my whiskey with ice.
That's shaken, not stirred.
No, we don't check. You don't check.
I know you don't check the whiskey. I just wanted to say it.
So a little bit of turnabout here. Munoz got out to early leads in the first 2 games and split those with Brian Akoko. It's Brian here who's gotten out to the early lead over Jacob in the third and deciding game of this match. Looks like both these players stiffening up on defense a little bit. Both their mallets spending a little bit more time towards the scoring zone, trying to cut off those angles off the rail while not surrendering shots down the middle. But man, when Munoz unleashes a right wall under like that, the best player in the world is not going to be able to stop it.
His timing was great on that. The shot just was so smooth and buttery.
Absolutely froze Brian in his tracks. He didn't know which direction that puck was going to be coming from. And by the time he realized where it was already in the scoring zone.
Jacob playing really good defense here in this
Great
game.
block and settle right there by Munoz to back up your point as if on cue.
It's been pretty much a nail-biter here since the first game, and here we are in this third game now. Still going at it neck and neck.
Yeah, both of the first 2 games making it to sudden death, and it looks like this one's headed down that same road. I've definitely seen this movie before. But Jacob with 2 unanswered, and he is the first one to the race to match point. Is Brian going to be able to catch back up again, or has Munoz? That might have been the dagger, sir. And there it is.
Wow.
Munoz with 3 quick unanswered at the end.
Assassin there at the end. That was some Mamba mentality right there.
3 beautiful shots from Jacob Munoz in quick succession. And man, 2 entertaining games that got to 6-6. This one heading the same way until Munoz turned it on there at the end.
Yeah, I can see why he turned that point down. He clearly didn't need it.
Yeah, I believe we are to the point. I believe the players are almost to the point where they're gonna have to vote on Jacob Munoz soon, and move him up to that coveted level 6 rating. He is hanging with the best players in the world and beating them, and with the 4th place finish at the World Championships last year. I think it's time to call a spade and just give Jacob Munoz that level 6 rating that he's definitely earned at this point. Just really quickly, one last shout out to our sponsors at where'sthegig.com, a musician's best friend. The I-45 Bingo Hall, home of the daily 10,000 guarantee, and our friends at Old Humble Distillery. You know we love talking about you. Here is a quick look at the brackets for this evening so you guys can see how things have played out. Our upcoming match in green between Charlie Martin and Jacob Munoz. If you would like to view this bracket yourself, you can do so at Brackalope.com. Type 7-6 into the search engine and click on the first thing you see, 7-6 tournament for January 3rd, and you will have the same access we do to the live updated brackets.
I gotta jump in here and so my partner here is not privy to the audio coming from the table, at least not directly in his ear like I am. However,
to do that.
No, you didn't have to cut it. No, it was just funny. You were explaining to the crowd about following the bracket online on brackalope.com, and Brian Akroka was regaling us with a little funny insight of the player mentality from the tables. And it was just a really funny concurrent commentary while you're talking about the bracket.
Well,
so
there
that'll
you go.
That'll be worth a laugh for a few people that do follow and watch the replay on Facebook Live.
Yeah. Oh, and the last shout out to all of our individual benefactors. You know who you are. Without you guys, without our corporate sponsors, Air Hockey Live 360 could not happen on a weekly basis. Again, man, I've just been having so much trouble biting my tongue for the last couple weeks, and it sounds like we're finally going to be able to let that cat out of the bag. So, folks, if you are listening, if you are watching the replay, if we get the okay to give you the big news, I promise to you, it will be the first thing we talk about when we come on air. Huge announcement coming. We're just working out the final details of the deal before we can give you guys the big news. But Monday's supposed to be the day, so hopefully we'll have some news for you next Friday.
Once it's signed, sealed, and delivered, it'll be from our lips to your ears.
And I promise you, as soon as the news comes out, the turnouts to these weeklies for the next few months are going to be huge. Lots of people are going to want to gear up to have good showings at the World Championships. That I will give you folks. The big news concerns this year's World Championships. Can't wait to tell you. It sounds like we're going to have to wait one more week. But it's coming down to it, so make sure you tune in next week. Just waiting on the championship table. Looks like Mark Waheed taking the opportunity to warm up here with, I believe that's Charlie Martin. I could be wrong. But Jacob Munoz taking a moment to catch his breath, and he is going to have an opportunity to win, or an opportunity to take on Charlie Martin for the championship. While we're waiting for that to happen, obviously, as we've been telling y'all all night, this is a double elimination tournament. Charlie Martin through to the finals undefeated. So Jacob Munoz is going to have to win 4 games before Charlie Martin wins 2 to claim a Friday night championship. I'm not sure of the level difference in these two players. We will get an updated handicap for you, and I don't know if Charlie Martin gets a head start or not. I wouldn't. I'm certain it's not going to be Jacob Munoz who gets a head start, but we'll see what happens. Good to see Mark Waheed at the tables. Obviously, we didn't see Mark for a while. Had some health issues. Great to have him back. Still trying to find his game. But it looks like he had a decent run tonight. Made it through a few rounds and obviously hanging out to help us out here at the end of the night.
Getting a little bit of warm-up time in here before the finals. We're going to go ahead and give you a little bit of a quick break, but stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I'm thinking about this woman in Colorado that I really like. And I'm thinking about explaining to her first that, to me, you're like an air hockey table.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it sounds like they're going to try to go ahead and get things going, so we're jumping back into the action here for you. In the finals, we have Jacob Munoz versus Charlie Martin. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the 7-6 presents to you the finals of the 1-3 Tourney Weekly. Quickly, Charlie Martin out the gate with a quick one. Let's see what happens with if Jacob can respond here. Jacob gets on the board, and now we're tied at 1.
No, we're not.
Apparently I missed the...
Charlie Martin is
getting a handicap here, a large handicap.
Charlie Martin, obviously a newer player, still a level 1, and he is getting a 5-point head start in each of these matches. So that helps with the explanation of how he had such an easy run through to the final table tonight. You get a 5-point head start against the best players in the world. Sometimes you get through.
Apparently we had audio missing from the table, so...
Oh well.
Oh well. We are now listening. We are listening.
We blame you, Old Humble. We work better with your product, not without.
I think he gets it.
It's alright. We didn't even know you were coming until we got here, and then when you didn't show up, it broke our heart.
We cried for that, Old Humble.
Well, Jacob is going to have to make a pretty improbable run. He's going to have to rattle off 4 here before Martin gets one more. Ooh, good block by Jacob Munoz. That one had the back of the scoring zone written all over it, but Munoz shut it down, and it's going to get him the possession back.
And he scores right behind that, too.
Kind of threw the changeup off the left rail. Martin was expecting a screamer. Munoz threw out the change of pace, and Martin didn't stand a chance.
Jacob seems to be locked in here ever since that last spurt there in that last game he played.
Well, sometimes against the lower ranked players who do get a head start, I'm starting to see that that the better players are having to be more tactical, because when you can only surrender 2 points, you can't afford to even make one mistake.
Yeah, the margin of error is much, much smaller. Much smaller.
You know, if you're playing against somebody who you're only giving 2 points to, you know, you can screw up and make an own goal, and it's not going to hurt that bad. But if you have an own goal and your opponent is starting with 5 points and you just give them 1, they're only 1 point away from victory, and that just can't happen. Munoz working both the rails hard on that double banker. Something else you won't see against the better players, those double bankers don't usually find their way through.
Yeah.
They just lose too much velocity off that second rail, and the better players in the world are able to shut them down. Munoz now 1 point away from the 4 points in a row he needed. What a run.
As improbable as it seems, here we are, right?
Yeah, but Munoz, like we said, is going to have to win 4 games to Martin's 2, or he's going to have to score 28 points to Martin's 4 to claim this championship. If you want to, if for our listeners at home, if you want to know what type of mountain that Munoz has to climb to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat,
and Charlie's been sitting over there for a while. He's,
Almost 90 minutes by my calculations since Charlie's played a game.
He's probably got to get back into the flow again.
Yeah, we're not going to get into all that again. I've had that conversation once tonight. Made my feelings about that known, and we're just going to let it go.
Yeah.
Munoz with the drift work comes off the right rail, and there's 7 of the 28 he needs. 21 points to go, and Munoz will claim a championship. Martin still only needs 4.
Yeah, but he needs 4 in this game.
No, he only needs 2 in this one and 2 in the next, and it's over.
Very good point. I'm sorry.
Well, Munoz needs
match.
Yeah.
Yes.
Munoz needs
the terminology.
3 more games to win this. 7 points a game. 21 points to go.
That's what we call the long haul.
Yeah. And coming out of that elimination bracket it is such a long road to get here.
It's brutal,
especially with the turnout like we had tonight.
Well, but Jacob kind of got to jump the line. I think he didn't get knocked out till later in the championship bracket.
Yeah,
so
because Jacob was straight through to the elimination bracket final.
Right.
So that means that he lost. Means he's already lost one to Charlie Martin in the winners bracket finals. So Jacob's one loss coming to Charlie Martin. So this is a bit of a grudge match. Jacob looking for redemption here at the championship table. Charlie Martin's only been able to score 1 natural point, and that came way back early in game number 1. Munoz has rattled off, 6 unanswered now, 10 unanswered now since Martin's last score?
I think that's correct. At least 8 unanswered.
That was a big sweeping backhand from Jacob. Not used to seeing those from him. Usually with Jacob we see the really quick wrist work. Yes,
he didn't have to give that puck up.
Well, he did because he used his thumb to pull it out of the scoring area,
I didn't see
and
that.
because he
That's
touched the puck, he had to give it back to Munoz. But when your choices are surrender the puck or just shove it in and give up the point, probably going to take the possession every time.
Right. Yeah. It's just a shame it came back to haunt him so quickly.
Yeah. And with Jacob, it usually happens in a hurry.
Yeah.
Munoz has laid the skunk on Charlie Martin here in game number 2. Martin has been unable to get off a natural point. The scoreboard says 5-5, but in reality, it's really 5-0 Munoz right now. Tough shot from Jacob, unable to keep it on the table. And I do believe possession's going to go to Martin because that was not knocked off the table on a block. Martin putting a little bit more mustard on those shots, and man, I kind of felt like the score was coming. Ooh, Jacob almost with a mistake right there. Able to recover and goes hard off the right rail again. We are all tied up into sudden death. Jacob winning one of these in his last match against DeCroco. Come on, table.
Yeah. And then the table jumped back on there.
Well, table just goes through a reset cycle every couple of hours, and that'll just happen. Nice block from Martin. Don't know if he meant to block it or if Jacob's shot just sort of ran into the mallet where it was at, but it was a good block nonetheless.
And there it is again.
Jacob trying to save it and keep it on the table. Unable to do so, though. Did you see it?
And there it is.
And Munoz is going to win the first match. And he wins it 7-6, 7-6. Munoz becoming the king of sudden death. We are going to switch sides and reset, and that is going to be Charlie Martin's first match loss of the night. Jacob Munoz with some retribution here at the championship table. Moving on to match number 2. And this one, folks, will decide the championship. The next player to win, whichever player wins 2 games out of 3 here, is going to be our 7-6 champion for January the 3rd.
And Munoz scores immediately off the face-off. You don't see that often.
With Jacob, we see it more often than not because he's so quick from the middle of the table. Man, Jacob is on a mission. He has not let Charlie Martin breathe.
Not at all. You're right. He must have really been smarting from that early round loss there.
Yeah,
in the first
it's
round.
a combination of that, Munoz coming in fresh, Charlie Martin, again, sitting for an hour and a half, coming into the championship table cold, to a obviously superior skilled player in Jacob Munoz. Charlie Martin did beat him on the winner's bracket side of things earlier, but he had been in a groove and had been playing and wasn't coming in cold, and I think we're seeing the effects of that right now. The weight doesn't affect the better players as much as a rookie like this, but it always has some kind of effect.
You know, I'm actually
Excuse me.
This bracket, and I think this is actually the first time they've matched up tonight. So I was looking at no, because he jumped in over here, right? Munoz came in up here.
Yeah, Munoz came from the top of the bracket.
Right.
Martin came from the bottom. Munoz lost to Martin in the winners final, so that's why Jacob had the bye to the losers bracket final. Scroll down, down.
You know, I saw that over here. But what I'm talking about is I saw Martin's name here, and I just followed the trail of the people he played until this point, and this is the point that we're at right now.
No,
I see
no,
what
we're
you're
in the
saying.
green.
I see what you're saying. He beat him back. Okay,
He beat him in
you're
the
right. He did. He beat him in the
elimination
bracket
final, and this is the championship match.
Right, the winners bracket final.
I believe it's still a 5-3 lead here for Charlie Martin. Yep.
It's just now 5-4.
And Charlie Martin still unable to get off the schneid. He's been getting those scores. The 2 scores he has have come very late in the games. He's managed to get off 1 point in the first 2 games, or 1 point in each of the first 2 games against Munoz. But Munoz has just been running this kid, and there is not a lot he can do. He's just overmatched.
That was such a nice forehand.
Yeah,
Just
Jacob
explosive.
Munoz looking for the sweep, I think, for this championship. You know,
Well, if he wants to win, that's the best option, right?
well,
Get right to the
rattling off
point.
4 straight games, sweeping the championship out of the losers bracket, that's an impressive feat. I don't care who you are, who you're playing. And even against a low-ranked player like this, you'd figure Charlie Martin would win 1 game by accident. And Munoz
Not looking
1
like it,
game
though.
away. Charlie Martin got completely skunked there in game number 1 of the second set. Munoz with 7 unanswered points and all of the momentum going Jacob Munoz's way right now. Charlie Martin gonna have to knuckle up and find 2 points, or the championship for January 3rd is going to be over.
And really, that's 8 straight because he scored the final point of the previous
This
game.
is true.
Yeah.
This is true.
Yeah. That was after Martin tied it up at 6 after he finally found another score. So, you know.
Looks like Charlie Martin sitting down there at the end of the table taking a breather. Son, hiding down there doesn't keep what's about to happen from happening any, yeah.
Let's give him credit. let's say he's composing himself.
Gotta give the
for-
kid credit. He got his way all the way to the championship table. It's a
Yes.
big field tonight. It's a strong
Yes.
field tonight.
And
Let's
he's
see.
in the money.
Following it back, Charlie Martin beat Jacob Munoz once, Brian Acroco, Frank Perez, and Chris Gibson to get here. I mean, that's a pretty solid lineup of players. Obviously, he was going to get a head start in each and every one of those matches, but that's a pretty heady lineup to face to get this far without a loss.
Yes, indeed.
You know, Jacob probably the best player out of that group that he's faced, but of all the players here, all you really have to do is throw in a Phil Arnold and maybe in L.A. Marino when he would have played all the best players here. And Jacob opens the scoring again. That is now 9 straight unanswered points for Jacob Munoz. And Charlie Martin is in big trouble now, folks. All the momentum has been on Jacob Munoz's side of the table since this championship match has started, and Charlie Martin has been unable to stem the tide of scoring coming from Munoz. There we go. Charlie Martin may be able to sneak a game in here and not get completely swept. That was a good idea, but you got to control the puck if you're going to be sneaky like that. And you got to be able to control the rebound. And Munoz is now 2 points away. Good block by Jacob. Chris almost got himself a game right there.
Martin with a good block on the return side himself, actually. So that was a good exchange. And there.
And now we are to sudden death,
error.
folks. Next point is going to decide it. It's either going to be a championship for Munoz or Chris Martin's finally going to win a game here at the championship table.
Force a deciding
game 3. I'm going to have to put my money on Munoz, especially now that he's taken over possession. Chris Martin's best chance was going to be to score off the snap, and he didn't do it. He's got another chance here. Munoz unable to control his mallet. So he's going to have to give a possession over to Charlie Martin. I really thought Charlie Martin was going to wind up and take a big ripper again. Now he's able to get his 1 point. Let's see if he does it here. Yeah. And there it is, folks. Jacob Munoz with the victory for January the 3rd. The first tournament of 2020 is going to go to 2019's most improved player, Jacob Munoz, as well as we talked about earlier, last year's under-25 champion. Can't do better than that. All right, folks, we are going to turn this over to the guys on the floor for the championship presentation.
All the entry fees are going to go to Danny and to help pay for his medical bills for Stephanie, and Peter Swincesky is going to be donating money to pay for the prize money. So I'll be sending more information out by text about it. So Saturday the 18th, so the tournament will be here on Friday the 17th, and then there's a Halloween game on Saturday the 18th. That'll be the audio's on you guys, so do something. I'll be there.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've had an exciting evening here tonight. We'd like to thank our sponsors again. Where'sTheGig.com, I-45 Bingo, and Old Humble Whiskey. We're going to wrap it up here.
After Phil's award presentation, this is going to be the end of our broadcast for January 3rd. We are going to turn it over to Phil Arnold, but one more time really quick, a quick shout out to the I-45 Bingo Hall, Where'sTheGig.com, and Old Humble Distilleries. Thanks again for all of your support and the support from our private benefactors. For Charles Ray, my name's Jay Lippincott. We are going to turn it over to Phil Arnold for the award presentation. Make sure you tune in next week. Same bat time, same bat place. Hey, tell them to take 3 steps forward so we can see their face. Okay. Tell them to do it right next to the table. Let's get rid of all of that.
And first place was 35.